Welcome back to Joe's Healthy Cupboard. I hope you're all having a fantastic week. Today's Tuesday. This is probably the third time I have recorded this video and then ended up deleting it. So let's hope fourth time lucky. And I am going to be talking about breastfeeding again. So for those of you who are not interested in that, feel free to skip this video and have a look at one of my recipes or one of my book reviews or something else that is appealing to you. As I am now, I'm nearly 6 weeks postpartum, and for those of you that don't know, I have a 6-year-old, nearly 7-year-old son, and I have a little baby who is currently sleeping in her basket beside me here. You can hear some little grunting noises, so she may wake up in a minute, and here we go. She's been sleeping and then feeding and sleeping and feeding. So today I'm going to talk about breastfeeding. This is my second breastfeeding journey. So Ivy Rose is nearly 6 weeks and my son is nearly 7. So I've had two really different breastfeeding experiences, and I just want to talk about something that I don't think I've really seen other people talking about. And these are the two biggest obstacles that I found with breastfeeding, or the two biggest challenges, shall we say. And I'm going to talk about the challenges as I see them and then how I overcame them. But firstly, I just want to say that I'm not saying breastfeeding is best. I think fed is best, and if you're a healthy, happy, mentally well mummy is the most important thing to take care of a healthy, growing baby. First of all, you have to take care of yourself, and if breastfeeding isn't for you and you prefer bottle feeding or any other type of feeding, expressing, then please, just skip this video or watch it because maybe it's of interest to you. So I want this video to be here because I feel like these are two things that are never really talked about when you go to like breastfeeding groups or like leaflets about breastfeeding, or just people generally talking about it before you get started. And I have also shared a video which is my breastfeeding tips. So you can look at that and I'll link it below, but this is much more about what I found to be the two biggest challenges. And ironically, they're not physical, they're not about breast pain, they're not about mastitis, they're about like emotional well-being. The two things are isolation and overwhelming sense of responsibility. So I'm going to talk about them in order. I'll talk about isolation first. I may need to feed her whilst I'm doing this, so I will take a little break. So the first thing I want to talk about is feeling of isolation that can happen when you're breastfeeding, and it also links into having the confidence to feed in public. So these two things I feel are very intertwined. So the first time, I'll talk about my first experience. When I was breastfeeding my son, I felt very isolated because I was too self-conscious to begin with to feed in public. So I would go to either the disabled toilets, or I would take myself to a room upstairs if I was in my own house or somebody else's house, and I would not feel confident feeding in public. More because I was worrying about what other people would think, or maybe that I would see someone I know and I didn't particularly want them to see my nipple or my boob. Not that you really see that because, your baby's obviously feeding from that. I began at points to feel like I am a very sociable person, and I really don't like the feeling that you're part of a conversation, you're with a group of people, and then you have to go and exclude yourself. It's a strange thing to do, really. You go around to someone's house or you go to meet someone, and then you have to go and take yourself off by yourself to breastfeed. And that made me feel quite lonely, and I want to say a little bit resentful, because I didn't want to be doing, away from whatever person or social situation I was in just to breastfeed. So this time round, I have made a really big point of gaining that confidence, and I told myself from the beginning I wasn't going to go off into other rooms, I wasn't going to go off into disabled toilets that smell of poo or wee or whatever and sit on a toilet seat to feed my baby because I felt like other people might be uncomfortable, and that breastfeeding just needs to be a little bit more normal, in my opinion. You're not flashing your boobs, you see a very little amount of skin, and your baby is feeding on the nipple, so there's no nipple in show. Okay, there are times where there might be a little bit of flashing, but take a muslin cloth, that's what I use, I have got about 1 million of these, and I just pop it over my shoulder so that when she stops feeding, I can just cover myself up. And I feel comfortable doing that. I am a little bit self-conscious, obviously, still, especially if I see someone that I know, which sounds weird, but you know, people of the opposite sex that I know really well, sometimes I feel a bit uncomfortable, which is so odd, but anyway, that's just the way it is. But I have really changed that, and the way I see it now is that it's like a normal part of having a baby, if you choose to breastfeed, is that you should be able to do it freely wherever you are. Something I would suggest, I know that I've spoken to quite a few people who are first-time mums and they are feeling the way I did first time round, and what I would say is just practice. So pick somewhere that you think is going to be relatively quiet, maybe a coffee shop, maybe I don't know, somewhere that you would go to, and just go there by yourself. Go somewhere quiet, maybe like a Starbucks. I know they're very breastfeeding friendly. They have like posters up saying that they welcome breastfeeding mums, or Costa, or somewhere that's like, you know, going to be quite open, and then pick a seat where you feel comfortable. You don't have to be right in the middle of the coffee shop. Pick somewhere maybe like that you feel like you could sit and you know, feel comfortable enough to do it, and then just try and build up your confidence that way. Because I think if you go into a massive big open space and do it there for the first time, that might be a little bit more scary. But if you pick somewhere you feel comfortable anyway, that you're doing something that you would do regularly, like go for a coffee, then it makes it that little bit easier. Or maybe take a friend or another mum who you know will understand. Gradually building up your confidence so that you won't then have to feel isolated. And I mean, I don't know if other people feel like this. Please comment below if you did or have or do, because it certainly affected me in terms of just feeling removed from social situations, because I was constantly taking myself away for like anything from 10 minutes to an hour to feed my baby. And that can affect your confidence as well, because you're missing parts of the conversation. You're not getting to speak to people as often as you would normally. And yeah, so I just want to talk about it because I feel I have overcome this, and there are still situations where I feel slightly uncomfortable, but 9 times out of 10 I will just feed my baby wherever I am, because it's a natural thing to do. And if you're breastfeeding, then you have to feed your baby. And the second thing I want to talk about, that is another aspect of breastfeeding that I found kind of impacted on how I felt, was the overwhelming sense of responsibility. And obviously you're going to have that when you have a child anyway. You're going to feel like, especially with your first, that your life has completely changed. I don't want to scare anyone, but someone asked me recently, do you feel like your life has changed since you've had your second? And I said, absolutely not. It changed when I had my first, because that was when I realised that, oh my goodness, yeah, I'm like 100% responsible for this small person with my husband. But it was a very overwhelming feeling that actually, you know, nobody else is going to come and take this responsibility from you. And you want it because they're your child, but at the same time it is overwhelming if you've used to doing your own thing, you're a young single person, you've been going out, you've been doing all the things young people do, and then there you have a baby. And I am certainly glad I waited until I was, you know, my late 20s, no, in fact I was 30, because I felt like I was ready. But I can imagine younger parents must find it even more overwhelming. And some things that you can do are just to kind of tell yourself that it's okay to feel like that. It's a massive life-changing event to have a baby. And if you're breastfeeding, I would say that sense of responsibility is heightened, because you're not only responsible for caring for this small person, you're responsible for feeding them. And I used to have moments of panic thinking like, well, what happens if something happens to me? And like, how will, you know, the baby, what if it won't take a bottle? And I think that is probably an unnecessary worry, because at the end of the day, a baby is going to feed from whoever gives him or her the milk if they are hungry. And giving them a bottle, they may not take it from you because they have an option, but they will take it from someone else. And maybe if you do feel that overwhelming sense of responsibility and kind of want to alleviate it a bit, My suggestion, which is what I did first time, was to express milk, to use formula, and to allow other people to feed my baby, because it stopped me feeling like I was the only person who could look after the baby and comfort the baby. Whereas this time round, I haven't felt the need to do that. I know I will, obviously, when I start doing a bit more work, and when I need to and want to go and do things and have a bit more time to myself, when I'm going running and all these things, then I definitely will either express or use formula and give that to my husband or my mum or whoever to give to the baby. But I think that the initial phase, where especially if you're solely breastfeeding, that feeling of, you know, responsibility, it really can be quite overwhelming and a little bit scary as well. And I just want to normalize that and say that's okay, because I felt like that. I'm sure other people have felt like that, and I would love to know if you felt like that before. But for first-time parents, it's just, and especially, like I said, the whole breastfeeding thing, it's a big thing. And so by me sharing this, I'm hoping that it makes other people feel better, because if they feel like that, it is normal. So yeah, that's basically my video for today. I was having these thoughts about what is it that I find most challenging about breastfeeding, how have I overcome this, and I wanted to share it. So I hope if you're a new mum or first time mum or going to be breastfeeding mum, or just anyone with a new baby, that this is in some way helpful or reassuring. And I would love to know if anyone else has felt like this. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a fantastic week, and I will be uploading another video at the end of the week. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy my videos, and hit the little red bell button. And I will see you all later.